have a question. What is the plural for mouse?
Mice.
Welcome to English class with Sinema Scrutiny. Sarah is not the teacher.
Welcome to Sinema Scrutiny.
I'm Heidi.
I'm Sarah.
I'm Mel.
And I'm Sam. And welcome to Fozziwig's Old Rubber Chicken Factory. Today we will be reviewing 1992's The Muppet Christmas Carol, directed by Brian Henson.
Overview.
Right off the bat, Gonzo is introduced as the narrator / Charles Dickens, which is absolutely genius, and he and Rizzo's comedic duo is incredible, and it is one to be rivaled, period.
Just the way that Gonzo tells the story, he brings such a humor and a lightheartedness to the dark themes that this story has, and I just love it because the humor is top tier.
It's the best.
Thank you. You're welcome. The fact of the matter is, Jim Henson is genius for creating the Muppets in the first place and kind of taking like the puppets out of the original, not stereotype, but he kind of made it his own, gave them a specific name, and then created an entire universe for them where they had a regular show where they would go on the stage and perform every night, and then they started making their own movies, which they casted themselves into in a way that they could break the fourth wall consistently, and they could just have like the rats be like touring the set, and like they could pull off so many things that a lot of movies can't because he created it so perfectly and made it his own.
And the casting for this movie specifically is so perfect. Like Kermit as Bob Cratchit and Miss Piggy as his wife, obviously. Mm-hmm. The frog and pig children are somewhat unsettling.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
When two different species of animals intertwine, you'd think that the offspring would be a mesh of those two species.
Like, if that was possible, that's what you'd think would happen.
Right, but no. There's little frogs and there's little pigs. But there's no little prigs.
Prigs.
There's no little frogs.
What the heck is a frig? And the fact that Michael Caine and all the other human actors are just acting with puppets, and then Michael Caine like screams at puppets and is like completely serious about it.
Telling them
it's
they're
like,
gonna be
Puppets have
unemployed.
feelings too.
I aspire to have the acting ability with like a frog hand staring me in the face. And like probably all the puppeteers were like there as well, like all crouched down and like doing the puppets, and he's like, unemployment!
He was serious as a heart attack.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes, he's fantastic.
he's the best Scrooge of all time, and I will die on this hill.
Mm-hmm.
You will not ever convince me otherwise.
I do agree with that. He is my favorite Scrooge. This rendition is probably my second favorite overall because I really love The Man Who Invented Christmas. That's probably like my favorite overall, but in terms of Scrooge and the acting, it's probably Michael Caine. Like, super good. I love it.
Shameless plug for a movie we did not make.
Along with the human actors' ability to take the Muppets seriously, the Muppets took it just as seriously by doing all of their own stunts for this film, which I was amazed to read. I was completely behoovered by it.
As a Muppet myself, it takes a lot of guts to want to do your own stunts like that, especially like being thrown out of a building and like doing flips and getting lit on fire. So they really don't. Them Muppets have a lot of guts.
They went all out.
They have
really
a lot
did.
of courage, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Brave Muppets. If you too are a Muppet, please drop a comment on if you would do your own stunts.
The soundtrack in this movie is just absolute perfection. I love it. Some of my personal favorites are the very first one, Scrooge, and then the Marley Brothers song, Cheese! It's just, you can't get better than that.
And the way that they go down the staircase when they leave, they're like,
Dissension. Scrooge's entrance in the song Scrooge with his cane hitting the stone to the beat is one of the best entrances in cinematic history. by far. And you cannot tell me otherwise because I will say, shut up, I'm not listening.
Now, I have never personally heard this song, but I have heard the lovely Samantha talk about it and how she's not a fan of it. And they took this particular song out of the Disney Plus version.
When Love Is Gone. Yeah. The funny thing is, when we were watching this as children, me and my family, we always skipped past that song anyway on our VHS. You youngsters probably don't know what that is.
How do you do, fellow kids?
So the fact that they took it out, you know, it really spoke to me because I didn't like it. Some people do, and I'm sorry for your loss.
When Love Is Gone, like mine for this song.
And it even kind of rhymes.
Now, the rest of us, I think, have to go home and actually, like, listen to it to form our own opinion. But Manthe has very good taste in music, so I'm sure if she doesn't like it, I probably won't either.
I think the main thing is it just dragged on a little bit too long, so at the end you're like, is it over yet?
And
there's one more verse.
It takes a lot for anything else that follows that to bring the mood back up. But when I'm watching a movie, if I get brought down by it, I'm like, okay, now I just feel like I'm done with the rest of it.
Yeah, you're in the
unless it's like really great, and then you go back to where you started.
The song that the Ghost of Christmas Present sings, the person that voices him.
I found that it was Jerry Nelson.
Okay, well, he did a good job.
I think he did a lot of other work with like Muppets and Sesame Street and stuff, so he did a great job portraying the jolly nature of the second ghost. And I love the little dance that the Ghost of Christmas Present gets Scrooge to do because it's the best. And they are adorable little muffins.
Speaking of the Ghost of Christmas Present, it's literally Hagrid from Harry Potter.
A red-headed ginger Hagrid.
And Rizzo has on a scarf that looks like Gryffindor colors. It looks like a Gryffindor scarf.
Yep, he's in Gryffindor.
So this is just frickin' Harry Potter again!
This is actually just a prank that we're pulling on all of you. We've actually been reviewing every Harry Potter movie this whole time, and you just haven't noticed.
What?
As the Muppets created their universe, we have created a universe where everything is connected to Harry Potter somehow, thus creating the Potter Docs.
Right.
Yes.
Follow us on Instagram if you want to know more about the lore.
In all the Muppets movies, it's very unique because the Muppets are very unique. As a whole, they speak very interestingly, and in it, they use mouses and mices for the plural of mouse, and neither one of those is the right one. And I know they know that, and I know that, but it's really, I like it, and it's funny.
But you don't know her.
I have a question. What is the plural for mouse?
Mice.
Welcome to English class with Sinema Scrutiny. Sarah is not the teacher.
There's a joke in the very beginning where these two guys just came from breakfast, and then they're like, well, what do we do now? And they go,
let's have a lunch.
it's like the same thing that Jim Gaffigan does in one of his stand-up comedy specials.
Well, why don't we eat something, then we'll go and get something to eat.
Why don't you comment down below if you know who Jim Gaffigan even is? Because he's not necessarily underrated, but not a lot of people know who he is.
The Muppets are meant to probably just be funny, but to me they're something I grew up with, and it's incredibly wholesome to watch every single film. The cinematography, even of films that are just supposed to be goofy, make me very, very happy, and it's like the warm and fuzzy feeling you always talk about. Like, I get that every time I watch the Muppets. It's like you get to travel back in time and be a kid every time you watch a movie like that.
I said to my stepdad the other day, we were watching a Muppet movie, and I said, the Muppets don't get enough love outside of this house, so I need to show them enough love inside of this house. And I stand by that.
One thing that we noticed was the detail that was put into the casting of the young Scrooges, because they look like they traveled back in time and they grabbed Michael Caine from his youth and placed him in the film. It's incredible. I love that the Muppet Christmas Carol really took the costuming and made it their own. I love all the top hats, the scarves, and the jackets, as well as the party dresses in the Fozziwig Christmas party scene. Even though this time period was very established and there were many other movies that came before this one, they still knocked the costuming out of the park.
Why all the time on my Instagram do I get different pictures of Kermit in different outfits? I saw him in a disco outfit the other day. What movie was he in that he wore a disco outfit? I don't know.
Another part of the costuming that I adore is Scrooge's nightgown and sleeping cap, because he is absolutely beautiful.
With the ghost of the future, when they time traveled, I guess there was a spinning transition, and it was really aesthetically pleasing to watch.
For the time that the movie was made, some of the choices were just spot on. And you're like,
hey, it's the 90s.
They didn't have as much to work with, but they still made it look good.
Yeah.
It's a very timelessly made film.
yeah.
I did always wonder why they needed a puppet for the Ghost of Christmas Present, because it's a puppet of a person.
Well, so is Big Bird, but we still have Big Bird.
No,
Big Bird is
Big Bird is a bird. Is a puppet of a bird.
Favorite scenes?
It's not necessarily a scene, but the one image, I guess, I like from the film, probably my favorite, is when Bob Cratchit is standing in the street and he's staring at the moon, and the stars are obviously not real, but they're so perfectly like little Muppet style shape, and I like them.
It's very cinematic.
Sinema Scrutiny.
I'm a Sinema Scrutiny addict.
Speaking of cinematic scenes, I love the opening number where Scrooge is walking through the town, and there's like a whole bunch of puppets and a whole bunch of people, and I imagine it took many takes to get the timing right with like all the wagons and like the people and Scrooge going through. It's just fun to watch. They made it very dynamic, and obviously the singing is great.
The puppets sing together and they lean together and they talk together, and everything is so detailed down to a T. You can tell like everything has a point of it being there.
There's a lot going on.
Yes.
But it all comes together.
But intentionally.
Like, perfectly.
Yeah. You can just tell that everybody knew exactly what they were supposed to do. Everybody had a purpose, and it all just works together like a well-oiled machine, and it just makes it fun to watch ultimately in the end.
Everything kind of led into something else. You could always tell where you were supposed to be looking, and having puppets in a film adds a whole new level of difficulty to that, because they've gotten better technology with it now, but a lot of the time the puppeteers couldn't see what they were doing. They just had to remember, oh, my hand goes this way when I do this thing, and just hope that it looks good in the final product.
My favorite scene from the past 2 times that I have watched this film has been Gonzo holding Rizzo's legs over the fire and going like this, and Rizzo was like puffing on the fire like one of those accordion puff things.
A bellows?
A bellows, like a bellows. And then there is also this one scene where Scrooge is like, I'm gonna fire y'all if you don't want to come here for Christmas. And the rats are like, okay. And then they all have little tropical hats and little like maracas and stuff, and they're all dancing, and they're like, they're probably going to the island from Muppet Treasure Island where the rats are going on the tour, and they're like, this is the set where they film Muppet Treasure Island in the movie. It's so funny.
I really like all of the family scenes just because Kermit and Piggy's banter are so hilarious to me. And the kids are just little mini them, and it adds to it so much because it's like, oh, here's the original foundation, and now let's add levels of more annoyance onto it. Let's just children are annoying.
Belinda!
Can we also talk about how one of the kids is a completely different shade of green than Kermit, and he's just like blue. Like that frog is blue.
They're all different shades, and that's lovely. Now, what would Piggy have to do to change the shade of the frogs? Because
pink and green don't make blue.
I don't understand.
The Muppetology is just not there. It's not a thing, actually, I don't think. I think they find random fabric and it's like, that will work. I mean, skin, they're not made of fabric. They're real, just like me.
Well, I added added more color to the film in the end product, so I don't care what color the frogs are as long as they sing.
I have like 14 favorite scenes because this is my favorite Christmas movie ever. The first of those scenes is the scene where Rizzo and Gonzo are just talking and Rizzo randomly kisses Gonzo on the nose for no reason, and it's amazing. I also love the pan over to Gonzo and Rizzo after Aristotle and Shakespeare are shown, and they completely belong with those legends up on that shelf, even though they fell over seconds later. I also absolutely love Fozziwig's Christmas Party because it's so upbeat in comparison to the rest of the kind of drab city, and it gives a lot of contrast, if you know what I mean.
Which you don't.
I loved the scene where Kermit slides in on the ice skating rink because his little scream is everything to me.
One of the best scenes is when the Ghost of Christmas Present is in there. And I just love it because there's, the layout of food and everything and his belly laughter. And the whole scene just feels so warm and welcoming, like a present shoot. I couldn't think of him being introduced in a better way. I love the scene where Scrooge is, better and everything. And he sees the cute little rabbit from the beginning of the movie and he's like, "Rabbit, go get me a giant bird."
Be serious.
I really like the scene where Bob and Tiny Tim do they call it scat with the improv singing when they're walking down the street. It's perfect.
Mm-hmm. So precious.
I could jam to that all day long. That is my national anthem.
Mm-hmm.
USA.
Yeah.
Kermier.
Kermier?
Kermier sounds like Muppet perfume.
Kermier. A perfume by Jim Henson.
That's a whole separate project.
Favorite quotes.
I'm here to tell the story.
And I am here for the food.
Well, hoity-toity, Mr. Godlike Smarty Pants.
God save my little broken body.
Thank you for not shouting at me.
Ta-da!
How does one celebrate Christmas on the unemployment line?
Are you a little absent-minded spirit?
No, I'm a large absent-minded spirit.
That one thing you must remember, or nothing that follows will seem wondrous.
Why are you whispering?
It's for dramatic emphasis.
Oh.
Thank you for making me a part of this.
This is Fozziwig's old rubber chicken factory.
There's only 2 things in this life I hate, heights and jumping from them.
Our assets are frozen.
Work long, work hard, and be constructive.
1800. Imagine the grocery bills.
Belinda!
It smells so good, Mother.
Tomorrow's Christmas, sir.
Very well. You may gift wrap them. In a minute, I have a little bag of jelly beans over here. You can fit through those bars?
Yeah.
You are such an idiot.
A cat.
A cat.
I said it first.
I have 1,274 brothers and sisters. Even the vegetables don't like him. Like the lamp, not the rat!
Final thoughts.
The Muppets Christmas Carol never fails to get me into the Christmas spirit. It's definitely one of my favorite renditions of A Christmas Carol, and I love how it makes you laugh, but still keeps the weight of the lessons the original author Charles Dickens, aka Gonzo, was trying to convey. I give The Muppets Christmas Carol a 5 out of 5 stars.
Soleil. I love the Muppets. I love anything that has to do with the Muppets, and I love Christmas. 10 out of 10. 10!
I've always appreciated the Muppets' ability to convey life lessons in a comical way that's easy for any age group to understand, and the movies only get better for me personally with age. I appreciate them so much more now that I'm grown up and I get to travel back in time every time I sit in front of the TV to watch them. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 5. 10 out of 10!
This is my favorite Christmas movie of all time. I've been watching it ever since I was little, and it's super nostalgic for me. Not to mention, all the songs are instant classics. Of course, the life lessons are great as well, but the humor that the Muppets add to the classic story is absolutely unmatched. This movie is nothing less than perfect, and my final rating is 10 out of 5 stars.
Thank you for watching.
Until next time.
Gazoontite.
And God bless.
Roll credits.